Hi there, everyone. On behalf of all of us at Insight and the Surface team, my name is Marino, and it is a pleasure to have you here with us for this exciting session where we're showing you two of our latest AI PCs available from Insight and from Microsoft Surface. As we go throughout our session today, I want to let you know that our Insight team is standing by to take a look at your questions as they come in. So if you're feeling so inspired, please go ahead and let us know if you have any questions. And of course, the entire Insight team is always on standby to answer your questions about products and more. But in this session today, I want to introduce you a bit to the Surface Pro 10 and the Surface Laptop 6, two of our exciting new AI PCs. I want to tell you what exactly that means. What's different about an AI PC compared to the PCs we've used to have, and what is special about choosing a Surface device specifically when there are so many different Windows devices out there to choose from. Why is Surface worth an extra look? My goal is to answer those questions throughout our time together today. And so, let's begin. First thing I want to walk through is, why Surface? What is it that sets these particular devices apart from others? Whenever we at Microsoft look to design something new, some new piece of hardware, something new from our Surface team, there are some core tenets that we hold true with anything that passes our design validation. It needs to meet the criteria that you see here on the screen. First and foremost, we design Surface to make your users as productive as possible by equipping them with really versatile devices. I'm going to show you today one of our most versatile machines that we have, and the ways in which they can interact with it with ink and touch and more allow them to be even more productive and creative. Of course, we're Microsoft, so we want to make it easy as possible on IT teams to make sure that they have a smooth time deploying and rolling out these devices to the users. Of course, it must be secure. That is a #1 priority for us, as the devices that I'm showing you today are deployed with multiple governments around the world and in financial services, so making sure that they not only meet the industry standard for security, but are excelling in it is always a priority for us. And we want to make sure the things that we design are accessible and inclusive for all different users, and that they are designed in a sustainable way that's good for our planet too. I want to walk through a couple of these additional benefits as we dive deeper into those different points. Starting first here, one of the soft points I would say about Surface is its actual design and look and feel. And when we're thinking about a device, we're used to thinking about the tech specs, the productivity gains, and yes, we have those too. But one of the things that stands out immediately is that Surface doesn't look like other Windows devices. We studied this, actually, in a commissioned study by IDC. They had found that employees who are issued a Surface device feel a greater sense that their company is investing in them, and they have a greater sense of pride in the organization that they work for. There is something special about having that anodized aluminum finish device that's well crafted. We've seen that people really get value out of the innovative features like the ability to take notes in their own handwriting, or seamlessly reach out and touch the screen to scroll and then back to the mouse and keyboard, and getting that versatility of input methods has been really key. Of course, we have our AI PCs, and I'm going to be talking to you a bit more about these modern processors here in just a bit. And another nice fun fact, the battery life on our devices. We aim for all-day battery life on all of them. That is only aided now with Intel's Core Ultra processors and the improved battery gains that we've seen from that. It supports a fast charge technology that we engineered that allows you to take your laptop and charge it from 0 to 80% in about an hour. So it's not so much a matter of how much power can we store and accumulate, but how quickly can we get it back when we plug in for just a moment. With our devices, we're able to see those big gains. 35% of surveyed organizations say that they can connect a higher employee retention with issuing Surface devices to their team, and that it is helping people to feel even more productive. One of the other benefits of a Surface device is that it's designed by Microsoft, who also builds the operating system, who also makes Intune and Configuration Manager and the back-end management tools, who also services the warranty. We have this end-to-end approach. And what's more is that the next versions of the apps that your users are interacting with, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Windows itself, Teams, the new iterations of that software is being built and tested here in Redmond, Washington by our engineers on Surface devices first. Then, of course, we test it for other OEM devices as well. But the fact that you know that these devices you're issuing to your users are, in our opinion, the best expression of Windows and Microsoft 365, we stand by our devices and are proud of them. We have seen that when this is rolled out in the study by IDC, there is a consolidation of IT costs because of the powerful capabilities of Microsoft 365 and the ease of management of Surface. They do see this over $5,000 value in a return over time. 2.8 times the original investment was the number according to IDC. But of course, it's more than just the amount that it costs and how much we can get back in ROI. Those are very important, but how we build our devices and whom we build them for is also very, very key. We need to build devices that are inclusive for all of the different members of your team and the different humans that are going to be interacting with our device. We have people on our team who specialize in this, making sure that the original hardware design of our devices is as inclusive as we can be. And then to augment that, we have a series of accessories that are designed to match the visual look and feel of Surface. One of those is the Surface Adaptive Kit. This is a series of 3D keycap labels, pulls and tethers, and other accessories that we can add to a Surface device that can make it easier to use for people. This is not done with some type of comically large adhering things that we've seen in the past. These are designed by our Surface design team to complement the look and feel of the device while making them even easier to use for a wider array of people. And when an individual's need exceeds what the adaptive kit can do, we have an entire suite of Microsoft Adaptive accessories. These are a series of the Microsoft Adaptive Hub, the Microsoft Adaptive Mouse, and the Microsoft Adaptive Buttons. These that you see here on the screen can be customized and modified as we need. So as we look at some of these accessories that you see up here, they're 3D printed, and they can be adhered onto these items. They're macro control enabled, so they can be programmed to do a variety of things. So this makes it easier for anyone who has difficulty with a traditional mouse and keyboard. Of course, we want to make it not only good for the people, but good for our planet. Having a sustainably built machine is also really important to us. As you have goals regarding sustainability in your organization, we do as well. At Microsoft, we have some bold goals. By the year 2030, we're committing to be water positive and protecting ecosystems by building the world's first planetary computer. We aim to be carbon negative by reducing our emissions by 55% by 2030. But specific to Surface, we have a very bold goal that by the year 2030, all of our devices and their packaging will be 100% recyclable. Right now, we're getting pretty close. The latest iteration of the devices are 70% made of recycled content, which we're really happy about. We've used sustainability as a product feature at Surface. This covers the entire landscape of how we build and design devices. That starts with even things like when we launch Windows updates. We make sure that we push these Windows updates at a time where the local area is using more renewable energy, usually at night. And this is part of what we call carbon-aware Windows updates. And we vary this by region. And that saves a lot. When they push that big red button to launch a new update, it rakes up a lot of computers all at the same time. So making sure we time that appropriately is really important. By building a device that is serviceable and repairable, there is some great value here. By having removable screens and motherboards and port connectors and much more inside of our devices, we're able to be even more sustainable because we can replace defective parts and keep the core device intact. We consider this throughout the entire supply chain that it takes to get to you in partnership with our partners like Insight to make sure that this is as trackable and sustainable as possible. We make this all very transparent. At exploresurface.com, you'll find a link to the Surface Emissions Estimator. In here, if you're curious, you can put in the anticipated devices that you are thinking, how many of them, where you are, and the number of years in your refresh cycle, and it will generate for you an estimation of the metric tons of CO2 by that particular order that you would place with Insight. So you can see all of this information at once, both how much went into production, the end of life, the transportation of the device, and how much through its usage over time. Now, inclusion is really important, sustainability important. But what we're talking about today is these new AI PCs. And I don't know how closely you've been following the realm of AI and how quickly it's been advancing. But one thing that's become abundantly clear is that we need new processors. We need new power and performance to meet not only what we have now, but also the future capabilities that will make itself known as time goes on. If you're watching this, you're probably considering your next device purchase, and choosing something that embraces AI at its core is a logical next step. I'm here to show you how Surface Pro 10 and Laptop 6 can meet this goal because they feature something called a neural processing unit. This is a special part of the Intel Core Ultra chipset that allows for the specific processing language that AI likes, a neural network, if you will. It is that type of language that AI understands. We're used to seeing a CPU from the likes of Intel. When we need it, there's a graphics card that's specifically dedicated. We've seen those. The neural processing unit is something that is new that you're going to start seeing in anything that's called an AI PC. So, why do we care about the neural processing unit? It is exceptionally good at offloading these types of AI tasks to this other chip where it can do the processing necessary using far less power and taking the burden off of the CPU. I have a very interesting chart to show you. This is a chart measuring the power consumption of the device when running Windows Studio Effects. This is a suite of AI-powered capabilities, things like automatic framing, portrait blur, eye contact, artificial eye contact, interestingly, voice focus, where it'll isolate the human speaker and cut out everything else using AI to do so it's even more accurate, live captioning. All of these capabilities are processed in that type of code that a neural processing unit really enjoys. Well, what if we don't have one? If you use just a typical i5 or i7 and not one of Intel's new Core Ultra processors, and the processor has to do all the work, it consumes 20 watts of power. For context, the entire charger of the device is 65 watts. That is not a sustainable option. That consumes far too much energy and makes that processor hot, and those capabilities simply wouldn't be feasible for us to add into a device that does not have one of these newer AI-powered processors. Compare that to when we run it with one of the new Intel Core Ultra processors that do have a neural processing unit. That same capabilities, same test, 0.145 watts of power is all that it takes, just a sip, in order to power those really unique experiences. The added benefit, yes, we're using less power, so that's much better for battery life, but also the processor doesn't need to work as hard. So the processor can go about running Teams or Word or all of the other things that it has to deal with even greater speed. So we're talking about an innovative new processor that up-levels the performance of the entire device while increasing the battery life. This represents a pretty seismic shift. AI PCs are designed to elevate these AI experiences like Copilot. And in order to be considered an AI PC, it needs to meet a few criteria. One is that it needs to have a Copilot key on the keyboard. This is the visual identifier of this device has a neural processing unit, this device is ready to go for AI experiences. If you see the Copilot key, then you're in a good spot. It also needs to run Windows 11 for these modern experiences, and it needs to have a processor that has a neural processing unit, like Intel's Core Ultra processors. And so the value of doing this now is to not only give them access to today's AI features, but you could expect to see rapid innovation. You already have, over the course of just the last year, seen rapid innovation with AI. By choosing a device like Surface Pro 10, like Surface Laptop 6, you're equipping your teams with a device that's ready for those capabilities when they become available. So, I have them here. I have both Laptop 6 and Pro 10 in the studio. I am very excited to show them to you. I'd love to introduce you to it with a brief video. Here is Surface Laptop 6 and Surface Pro 10. So let's meet those two devices that you just saw, and I'm going to start with the Surface Laptop 6. So this device, oh my goodness, I'm so excited about it. There's a lot to love and a lot of innovation that we put into this here in the 6th edition of Surface Laptop. We've listened to a lot of customer feedback and incorporated so much of it into the device that you see here. I'm going to show it to you physically here in just a bit, but let's talk about some of the things that are a little under the hood, starting with that Intel Core Ultra processor. So the processor that you see here, this is Intel's H-series processor. It is up to twice the performance that we've had before. We've demonstrated this device compiling code live and doing some incredible things that we wouldn't be seeing as often from the I-series predecessor. Intel's new naming convention, it's Core Ultra 5, Core Ultra 7, a little different from Core i5 and i7, but you can draw some comparisons. The 7 is faster than the 5. There is also which series of processor. So with the laptop, we have the H series, the high performance series from Intel, which we really love to see. Inside of this is that neural processing unit. So you can see this here under the hood, all the way up to that 165H, one of the faster options that we can have for this. And Intel has coupled this, I should say, with the Arc graphics module. We're used to seeing Intel's Iris graphics. The Arc graphics module increases that graphics performance even more. That's only available when you configure this with 16 gigabytes of RAM or greater. Beyond just this, we also have worked to increase the resolution of the camera, the forward-facing camera on this device, to a full 1080p resolution. Previously, that was 720, to make this as crystal clear as possible. Those Windows Studio effects that I mentioned earlier, automatic framing, background blur, eye contact, All of those are available here inside of this device because of the unique AI capabilities that we find with our device and that NPU. Of course, I mentioned that it's not an AI PC unless it has a Copilot key. So there it is, and that brings up Copilot in Windows. This is the instantaneous ability for your teams to chat with Copilot absolutely free and protected if they're signed in with your company or organization's Microsoft 365 account. Nothing that they say to Copilot is saved or accessible by Microsoft, and it is not used to train the AI model. It is done in that kind of protected environment so that people can interact with this. If they need to, they can copy and paste company data. I should also mention, though, that if you're not yet ready for this, this feature can be disabled by policy in Intune or Configuration Manager. Also, inside of here, there's a couple of other key things for those customers that require it. We do offer a version of Surface Laptop that features an integrated smart card reader. This is very popular in federal governments or places where we need that extra secure compatibility. This is now available if you are power hungry. You really want that performance. We have now up to 64 gigabytes of RAM coupled with this powerful Core Ultra 7 processor so that you could take full advantage of that. The 64 gigabytes of RAM is currently only available on that Intel Core Ultra processor model in an x86 processor architecture. I know that's a very technical term I just said, but if you're looking at the other processor architectures out there, they're not able to support 64 gigabytes of RAM yet. This is. The device comes in two colors, a platinum or matte black with an anodized aluminum finish. Now, I want to show these devices to you a bit hands-on, and in order to do that, we need to head to the demo desk. All right, so here in front of me, I have two sizes of Surface Laptop because we have both a 13.5-inch size and a 15-inch size. You can see them here stacked on top of each other, so you can see a bit of that screen real estate difference. I'm going to scooch the matte black one over to the side for just a moment, show you this 13.5-inch version. On the side here, we have a full-size USB-A port for compatibility, a Thunderbolt 4 enabled USB-C port, which is something that's nice with these Intel processors supporting the Thunderbolt standard. We also have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. And on the opposite side, this is the Surface Connect port. The included charger will work inside of this port. However, you can also charge this with the USB-C port on the other side. And that fast charging ability I mentioned before, it works with both. Just make sure your charger is 65 watts or greater. The true hallmark of a premium device, when I go to open it, does the keyboard come with me? No, it most certainly does not. And I really enjoy that. Some of the other lighter weight made of plastic devices, that is the factor, not with Surface. If I'm using this, I'll show you overhead first and foremost. You'll see that just instantly logged me in using the Windows Hello infrared camera that I have positioned here above the screen. With one press, I can bring up Copilot from the side. There are a couple of other keys, though, beyond the fancy Copilot key that I want to show you. The power button is located here, next to the delete key. We have now a dedicated key for screen clipping. So when I press that, I can draw a box around what I would like to clip, and then I'm good to go, and I can paste that wherever I'd like. We have a dedicated key to control screen brightness, which is really good from a user education standpoint, as that affects battery life greatly. And then a specific key for the backlight of the keyboard, so that we can use this even in a low light setting. We also, next to Escape, have a dedicated mute key. So you'll never have to worry if you're on mute or off mute again. There's an icon in the Windows taskbar that lets me know whether I'm on mute, and I can press this button and mute or unmute in supported apps. You have a multi-touch trackpad here that you can use to do different gestures, and so I really like that. All in all, a very powerful and premium laptop. I want to show you the 15-inch version. It's remarkably similar, but still worthy of a quick look. If I look here from the side, you'll notice there is a couple of different ports. This is the USB-A port, full size, and on this device there are two USB-C Thunderbolt 4 enabled ports. This one also happens to have an integrated smart card reader. On the opposite side of the device, we have the Surface Connect port and that headphone jack, just like that. You'll notice when I open this device, I just have a bit more room here on the edges, but the keyboard is still that 100% of the standard size for a keyboard that you'd expect with this big, glorious glass composite trackpad that we love to see. I'll go ahead and close this device for now, and let's head back over here to show you the next device of interest, the Surface Pro 10. With Surface Pro, our goal is to create the most versatile device possible. So whether someone wants a more traditional laptop feel, or they want to have that portable tablet, or some combination of the two, they can do that with Surface Pro. Do you want to take handwritten notes, illustrate something, sketch something? That's absolutely possible. And there's some great work that we've done with Surface Pro to make this possible. Of course, this also features Intel's new Core Ultra processors. This is the U series, so not quite as fast as the laptop, but don't take that to mean it's slow. It's a very powerful processor as well, up to that Core Ultra 7 with that Intel AI Boost neural processing unit inside. Of course, it has that Copilot key like we saw before. And we have done some work on the camera for this device too. We've increased the viewing angle from 90 to 114 degrees, and the resolution is a glorious 1440p resolution, up from 1080 in our previous generation. Both the Surface Pro 10 and the Surface Laptop 6 feature an anti-reflective screen coating, which can cut the appearance of those reflections by up to 50%. So this helps the screen be even more viewable in some harsh lighting conditions or when there's something bright behind you by reducing the effect of that glare. Also inside of here, we have, when you open the device, something we hope you'll never have to do, but maybe you will, and we give you that freedom. When you open up a Surface Pro, there is visual hardware guides to let the technician know what they're looking at. How many screws do they need? What type of screw are we looking for this component? A QR code that we can scan and then receive illustrated parts lists which show us step-by-step directions of how to service the device that we've just opened. If doing this yourself is intimidating, then of course you could partner with Insight. We'll be happy to help you with this process. We have a series of authorized service providers who can do these repairs for you, but the powerful thing is you have the option to do them yourself. We have the ability to replace parts and components and make that even more sustainable. Also, the new Surface Pro features a built-in NFC card reader. This is tapped on the top left portion, and that can be used for multi-factor authentication, prox card access, especially in a healthcare scenario. We see that commonly. Just tapping the thing against the device allows you to securely log in. Of course, there are a couple of other key features. We are quoting up to 19 hours of battery life on both Pro 10 and Surface Laptop 6. Both of those, the longest battery quotes that we've ever put out for their respective devices when they launched. So we're really happy about that, allowing your users to work for an even longer period of time. Also up to 64 gigabytes of RAM on the Intel version of this Surface Pro. And we've increased the brightness up to 600 nits of brightness. So if you're using this out in the harsh sunlight, you still have the option to beautifully see everything that you're looking at on this device. This is also available in both platinum and matte black. Let me show you this one a bit more hands-on. All right, I'm going to grab my Surface Pro here. If you are newer to Surface Pro, I'm going to give you a bit of a physical tour. Starting from the side, you'll have two Thunderbolt 4 enabled USB-C ports here that will charge the device nicely. On this side, we do have here that Surface Connect port for you. And then on the top, you have your power and volume up and down keys. There is two cameras, a rear-facing camera and the forward-facing camera, which is of an even higher resolution. When I go to open this, I can pull my finger under here, and I can open the kickstand just like that. However, if I need it, we also have the Surface Adaptive Kit, which can be applied to a surface in order to make opening that kickstand even easier and interacting with the device even simpler. Back to the Pro 10, this kickstand will hold itself at whatever angle I'd like. So if I move it to here and then I pull it open like this, I can tap on the screen. I don't need to worry about the keyboard slipping on me. It's going to stay nice and firm. Looking overhead on this device, I can see that this keyboard is kind of pushed up against the screen. That doesn't block the screen. In fact, I can see everything on it. But if I need access to my Surface Pen, then I can pull this down, and just like that, there's my desktop. I can see the Surface Slim Pen 2 is stored and charged right here. You can put it in any which way, and it will then, a little light comes on letting me know that it's charging. Whenever I remove this from its bay, Windows knows that I did and shows me some pen-enabled tools, which is really nice. You cannot put this in wrong. Watch me try. I'll try to put it in backwards. It does a little flip. You see there? So I try, but it will always kind of realign itself, which I found to be a nice little touch. The keyboard is a full-size keyboard that we are used to interacting with, and notice when I pull this up, I can still see my full taskbar. Looking from the side, you can see how this elevates the keys slightly and makes it for a more ergonomic position, though it doesn't need to be used like this. Whenever I take this keyboard and it crosses 180 degrees, it turns off. So I can take that keyboard, turn it all the way around like this, or close the kickstand completely and use it in a bit of a tablet mode with the keyboard behind, or just say, I don't need that keyboard, and completely disconnect it. And then I can take this device, recline it all the way down into studio mode so that we can ink and annotate as nice as we want. One thing I'll note is that when people go to write on a display for the first time, they'll write like this. Folks, this is not how we write. Rest your hand comfortably on the screen. Write just you would as if it was a piece of paper. It can withstand the weight of your hand. And to prove that to you, I'll do this. This device is constantly abused, and it has never failed me once. I've been pounding on these devices my whole career, and they are just so well built. That kickstand holds the device wherever I'd like. I'll put my Surface Pen back in its holder. I will magnetically reattach the keyboard here, and then put it back into this laptop mode that we see. Looking overhead real fast, we have some of those same keys that I showed you before. I have my Copilot key here to bring up Copilot in Windows. I have my screen clipping key as well, and my mute button, screen brightness, backlit keys, and more. Power button located up here on the top, as well as the volume up and down. I'll go ahead and turn that off and close it on down. This is the Surface Pro 10. We're very excited about this. Both the Surface Laptop 6 and the Surface Pro 10 are available to order now from Insight. We have also announced that there will be 5G versions of the Surface Pro that will be available in September. I have a few more things to cover before we conclude. Don't go anywhere. Let's move right back over to the podium. All right, we have also announced just within the last month or so some new accessories for Pro, and this one in particular, you, our customers, have been asking for a long time. It is the Surface Pro Flex keyboard. So the keyboard I just showed you, you'd be forgiven for thinking this looks identical. There's a lot of similarities to it. However, this, if you see this picture down here at the bottom, it's not connected. And that's wonderful. I can use this within 32.8 feet away from that device and have my full mouse trackpad experience, my full keyboard experience, storage for the pen even, and use that disconnected from the surface completely. It'll use Bluetooth as a connection mechanism when it's disconnected, and then as soon as it's reconnected physically to the surface, it'll continuously charge itself, up to 41 hours of continuous typing. Really nice. It'll charge itself, and then, of course, it will use the built-in connectors in order to connect that keyboard. So even if this is completely dead, you can still, of course, use it as a keyboard by physically connecting it. I've been getting asked, as long as I've been a Surface trainer, when we will have a keyboard like this, because it just seems to make sense. It disconnects and it folds under into a nice little origami shape almost underneath, so it elevates the keys even when it's not connected to the surface, which I thought was lovely. And to go along with this new keyboard option for Surface Pro 10, we've also partnered with Kensington to create the elevated stand for Surface. This will work for any Surface Pro or even Surface Go device, our smaller screen version of this. It folds up nice, and when you need it though, this can behave like a nice 13-inch monitor when you are on the go. You effectively turn your Surface into a monitor because it's on this stand, and then you can use that hinge in order to angle the screen to whatever works well, and then disconnect that keyboard so that we're all good to go. There are, of course, an entire suite of accessories that are available for Surface Pro. We have a Surface dock, Surface Thunderbolt 4 dock as well that's compatible, the traditional keyboard, and more. One thing I'll emphasize is it's the universal serial bus for a reason. USB-C is a standard and Surface meets it. So all of your existing USB-C accessories and USB-C docking stations will be compatible with both of these devices. They both require 65 watts of power, which should be supported by any USB-C dock that you have already invested in. So we're really happy to see it. Earlier in the session, I told you just how important security is for us on our side, and I want to cover just a few things that are unique to Surface as it relates to security. You're used to hearing about viruses and malware, but firmware is more recently the area of attack so frequently, all the way back to that big one in 2018 with Spectre and Meltdown, another attack in 2019 on over 1 million different ASUS devices, another attack in 2020 for espionage and data exfiltration. So bad that here in the United States, the National Security Agency issued a technical report saying, let's turn on Secure Boot and let's protect the UEFI and firmware. But it didn't help matters. Only 2 years later, 16 different models of HP's enterprise devices fell victim to these same types of UEFI attacks. So we, as a device manufacturer, we wanted to do something. We didn't want to keep using the same UEFI system that most all other Windows OEMs use. So back around Pro 5, we decided to do something different and create the Microsoft UEFI. This is our own UEFI platform that is what was originally specifically built for Surface. But then we made that completely open source for any other Windows device maker to use. What this allows for is the ability for you as an organization to issue a certificate, even remotely in the cloud, to use protections on the UEFI, the firmware, and the hardware of this device. This is previously unheard of because to manage the UEFI, you needed to add on an irrevocable password that is there to protect that area. However, with this new feature, we are able to do that in the cloud. That feature is called the Device Firmware Configuration Interface, or DFCI for short. This allows us to do things like cut power and access to the cameras, the microphones and speakers and radios and certain ports. We can restrict the boot order of the device, so if someone gets it into their hands, they can't override that boot order and do anything nefarious. Now, we are very proud that Surface supports this, but since we made Microsoft UEFI open source, we're happy to say that other OEMs have jumped on board. All of the different device manufacturers that you see on the screen support this feature that was first available on Surface. Take a look at the slide though, and you'll notice that there's some pretty big names that are missing. We really do want to see this continue to improve. And we hope that other OEMs will join us in that effort. But let's say maybe you're not ready for cloud-based management. Intune is a key part of that feature I just mentioned. Well, we still have benefits for those who are not yet interacting with Intune with a tool called the Surface Enterprise Management Mode. This does those same things. It implies some protection, some restrictions there on it, and you can do this with a USB stick in order to make sure that that device remains secure. All of this is part of a multi-tiered approach to security that we have at Surface, and by us being involved in all of these aspects, our devices have Microsoft-backed security from the chipset all the way through to the cloud. We build Windows, we build the device management suite, and of course we build the device itself, so we're here to back this through the entire process. We want to make things easy by pioneering Windows Autopilot on Surface devices first and rolling out these new capabilities. With Windows Autopilot, we actually preload the Office installation files on Surface so that it's even faster for your users to get up and running when a Surface device is deployed. We also have a very special area inside of our device called the Surface Management Portal. The Surface Management Portal allows for you to see all of the different Surface devices in your organization. You can take insights and much more, view the coverage as it goes, and you could also look for different insights like the amount of service tickets you've opened. In fact, you don't need to call 1-800-Microsoft in order to run this. It will simply show you the live state of your different orders and more as you go. To make things easier, we have a suite of tools that we have created that are free and specifically for IT professionals that are managing Surface devices. That is part of the Surface IT Toolkit. The Surface IT Toolkit is a singular app where you can see things like recovery keys and tools, that UEFI configurator I was talking about, a Department of Defense level wipe that you can perform with the data eraser, and several other free tools that are all available through this special toolkit that can be installed by IT professionals. Now, as we look to conclude, I will show you this last bit here. These are our two devices, the Surface Pro 10 and the Surface Laptop 6. Both of these are a part of our entire portfolio of Microsoft Surface devices in varying sizes and form factors. But it is these two devices that we're showcasing today. These are the two that most often find themselves in the hands of our customers' employees as their day-to-day trusted companion that they have from moment to moment. And so, for your consideration, we put to you that Surface Pro 10 and Surface Laptop 6 could be that very next fit for you and your team. And we don't want to just tell you that, we'd like the opportunity to prove it to you. And so, as a last step, you'll see a series of links here on the screen. Foxley.link/Surface Laptop 6/Surface Pro 10. Or if you'd like to learn more about the processors that power these devices from Intel, you can visit foxley.link/Intel Core Ultra. And if you're curious about Copilot, foxley.link/Copilot. But most importantly of all, if any of this has sparked your curiosity, if you would like to be loaned a device or procure one or two to try it out, or even just speak with a member of the Insight team about what could be a right fit for your organization, the folks at Insight really do want to hear from you. So please reach out to your Insight team, your Insight representative, to learn more about these devices. But with all of that said, from all of us at the Surface team and all of us at Insight UK, we are so glad that you took the time out of your day to join us for this session and to hear a bit more about what we have. This age of AI PCs is not something we should be scared about, but it should be something we're thinking about when we're looking at our next procurement decisions. And we hope that you'll find a wonderful, happy home with our Surface family of devices. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.